important thing that we do is we set the table. We talk about overcoming objections, and how you set the table is how the entire appointment is going to go. If I set the table in a strong way, I'm going to avoid almost all of the objections. If I set the table in a weak way, I'm going to open the door for objections to come. So just like we set the table, we've got to tie a little bow on our sale at the end. If we don't tie that little bow on the end, that's when you start seeing people cancel. That's when you see other agents come in behind you and replace your policies. That's when you start seeing your persistency start to dip and people falling off.
I'm like, what's the dream of? What's the hope in? What's the doubt for? Live to no end. This is living. The life I've been given is a gift. If I'm a living, I'ma live it to death. So what's the dream of? What's the hope in? What's the doubt for? And live to no end. This is living. The life I've been given is a gift. If I'm a living, I'ma live it to death. Yeah.
Okay, welcome to the Living Hope agency call. I'm super excited for you guys to be here tonight as we talk about how to cement your sales, how to increase your persistency, and how to go ahead and minimize chargebacks. And I'm excited because this is a topic that so many people have reached out to me about, because in this business, when you learn to cement your sales, increase your persistency, and minimize your chargebacks, you get to keep more of what you make. This is a business where we earn very large upfront commissions through a 75% advance on the annual premium, and we get our other 25% when the business stays on the books for months 10, 11, and 12. But obviously, this is a business where when you pay such a large advance percentage up front, you're going to have industry statistics say 20 to 30% of everything that you write is going to fall off the books in the first 13 months. That's just what's going to happen. It's going to fall off the books. And in our business, when business falls off the books, you receive something called a chargeback, which is just a negative commission. And that can be paid off through future sales. It's not a big deal. We all get them. And, we keep moving forward. But the goal is we want to help you guys keep as much of what you earn as possible and just put you in the best position possible. So this topic kind of came up as, I had a couple of people reach out to me saying their persistency was just getting a little bit lower than they were feeling comfortable with. And I hadn't even checked my persistency. I had no idea what my persistency even was, but I decided to go ahead and check it with Americo. And for the first 14 months that I've been here with Family First Life, my persistency has been 90.91%. Okay. And I would say probably industry average is probably about 80%. So this is definitely above average. And that's not to toot my own horn whatsoever. It's just to show you guys that you can keep more business on the books by caring about your clients and by doing different things to increase credibility and reduce sales pressure. You guys hear this all the time. So I'm going to walk you guys through what I do. I'm not going to give you guys everything in regards to what I say in the home, top to bottom, how to make the sale, but I am going to show you guys what I do to cement the sale. And that all comes down to what you do on the front end and what you do on the back end of the appointment. You hear all the time that the most important thing that we do is we set the table. We talk about overcoming objections, and how you set the table is how the entire appointment is going to go. If I set the table in a strong way, I'm going to avoid almost all of the objections. If I set the table in a weak way, I'm going to open the door for objections to come. So just like we set the table, we've got to tie a little bow on our sale at the end. If we don't tie that little bow on the end, that's when you start seeing people cancel. That's when you see other agents come in behind you and replace your policies. That's when you start seeing your persistency start to dip and people falling off. Because at the end of the day, our goal is to get people to keep their life insurance. And it's not just for us, because obviously we have an incentive, a renewal on permanent products where we can earn, income on a whole life product every single year, including that upfront. But also the only life insurance that matters is the one you actually have when you die. So if you write someone a policy that's a little bit too big, a little bit out of their comfort zone, and they end up canceling it and then they pass away, their family gets nothing. So what was the point of even doing that? So the goal is to write people policies that are going to stay on the books. So one thing that I always do is when I have somebody who we're going through the three options, sometimes I'll even downsell them, because I literally will say, hey, Bob, the only life insurance that matters is the one you actually have when you die. Wouldn't you agree? So we need to make sure that you can afford this when your roof leaks, when all four tires on both your cars pop at the same time. We need to make sure you guys can afford this during Christmas. We need to make sure this can disappear into your budget, because the one thing this can't do is this can't be the thing that's looming over your head every single month, the thing that's going to take food off the table. Because if that's the feeling that you have associated with this, you're going to cancel it. And there's no point in us even submitting this request in the first place because you wanted to protect Mary, right? Yes. So we need to make sure this is something you can keep. Wouldn't you agree? Yeah, I'd agree. So our goal is just to care. Our goal is to care. Our goal is to have a heart to serve. And if you have a heart to serve and you're not just there to sell a policy, people will feel that. And that's going to be the number one thing that's going to keep a policy on the books. It's just your attitude and your heart to serve and the last feeling that you leave them with. If you leave them with a weird, sketchy feeling, like you just sold them, if you leave a house and you're like, man, I just sold those people right there. That's not a great feeling. I just helped those people. So if I just sold those people means, I just used some sort of psychology manipulation tactic to get them to purchase a policy. I just overcame that objection so hard that they bought a policy and they didn't even know what hit them. That's not our goal. Our goal is to help people make decisions and decisions that they're not going to regret, because protecting your family is not something you're going to regret. So you want to help set them up in a policy that they're going to keep and also set them up in the right product. So it's not just the attitude. There are some little administrative things that can be done that I'm going to share with you guys, little tips and tricks that I use to help keep policies on the books. And they're things that a lot of people, they hear them in the training, but they go, oh no, I'm good. I don't need to print out that form. I don't need to actually bring a folder into the home. I don't need to have a business card, a name badge, my state license. I'll just show up with my iPad. And when I leave, I'll have a sticky note and I'll write their policy info on it. If you are the guy who leaves behind a single sheet of paper with their policy info on it, you're going to get replaced. Somebody else is going to come into that home and they're going to replace your policy, and they're going to have much more credibility than you. They're going to leave behind actual material about the company, and they're going to replace your policy. So the goal is that you cement your sales so well that they're irreplaceable, that when somebody else calls and they say, hey, I've got a better option, they say, no, you don't, because your policy doesn't come with Zach Babiars. Your policy doesn't come with Brody Pompey. Because when I sell someone an America policy, I'm not just selling them an America policy. I'm also selling them Jamie Chirio, because they're not going to cancel on me because I'm their insurance agent for life. Okay. So we'll talk about a couple of things that I do. We're going to zip through some of this stuff, and then we'll take a little bit more time on some other things. So if you guys aren't using the in-home agenda, it's just a great way to increase credibility right off the bat. Pop it right in front of them to say, hey, here's what we're going to do today. If you're not putting your state license and your name badge in front of them, once again, you're losing credibility. Everything that we do, they're the little things. The little things are the big things. If you guys are taking notes, that's such a simple thing to write down, but the little things are the big things when it comes to keeping clients. So when I sit down in a home and I show somebody and I open the table, and I'm not going to give you guys my whole open, but I slide my state license across the table and I say, you guys are going to get a copy of that. You're going to want to make sure that you take a picture of this, or I'm going to send you a text message at the end of this appointment with all of my information. Because what that does is it just holds my feet to the fire, and it makes it so that I have to perform in an ethical way, because they've got all my information. They can report me to the state insurance department, and I can get my license taken away if I mishandle these clients. And I want them to know that they have that power in their hands. And I also want that to be on me, that I'm going to treat these clients correctly because they've trusted me to come into their home and to help their family with life insurance. So I've got my state license and I've got my name badge. I don't know about you guys, but my name badge, it makes me feel like a superhero. Like, I don't know what it is, but like when I wear my name badge around my neck, I feel like a credible person. I feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be, and I can just hold up my name badge and it's like, hey, they got me out here. And I just have all the credibility in the world. The next thing that I do is I have my office assistant pre-prepare folders for me. Okay. So I come into the home and I have these pre-prepared folders. I'll get, maybe 25 or 50 of these prepared every single week. Inside on the left, I've got my I Am Your Life Insurance policy. I've got my business card. I've got the credibility sheet, and behind that is the financial inventory. And typically I also have the client profile in front. So when I walk out of the house, if I have 7 appointments, I grab 7 folders, I shove them in my bag. I don't pre-prepare folders per client. I don't do any type of pre-preparation per client. I just get in the home, I do the financial inventory, but I do prepare these folders because you guys will see what I do here. I leave this folder behind and I have another folder that I take with me. So I also use what's called the client profile. Some people, they refuse to use the client profile, but I'm going to tell you guys, there's so many reasons why you need to use the client profile, because the client profile, it's got information on here, phone number, email, social security, address, city, state, zip. When you get to a point, especially when you're asking for sensitive pieces of information like a social security number, it's not me who needs the social security number. It's the form that needs the social security number. There's other reasons why we use the client profile. I use the client profile because I have an administrative assistant, which I'm going to talk to you guys about the power behind that here in a second. But I have an administrative assistant who, when I leave the house and I fill this out with all the client's policy info, they then enter that into a client spreadsheet. They digitize my clients for me, and I have all their information. So I leave behind the policy info for the client, and I take the client profile with me. So I have, so I know what I sold that client. So if they ever call me, they're entered into my phone. I have their contact information. They're in my spreadsheet. I can quickly search them, and I know exactly what I sold them so that I can answer their questions. So the client profile is important, especially when you're sitting down with somebody and I'm going through the financial inventory. At this point, I know what direction we're going to go. We're going to go with America. I've talked to my manager, and then we're going to go and we're going to do a quick prescription check. When you go to do the prescription check, the first 4 pages of the America application, you're going to need their name, their birthday, their address, their city and state, their social, their email, their phone number. You're going to need where they were born. You're going to need all of that to be able to do the medical authorization. So at that point, when I first sit down in the home, the first thing that I do is Zach's my client. I write down Zach Babiars, and Zach, your birthday is, 12/25, 1965, right? Okay, perfect. I've got those 2 things filled out. I do my financial inventory. I write the address down from the lead card. And then I'm like, okay, so here's what we're going to do, Zach. We're going to go ahead and we're going to see if you can actually qualify for one of these products by running a quick prescription check through the Medical Information Bureau. Are you familiar with HIPAA? Okay, if you're not familiar with HIPAA, it's just a privacy act that says we're not going to share any of your medical information. Okay, real quick, what's your cell phone number? What's your email? What's your social? And I don't even look the client in the eyes at this point. I'm staring directly at the form and I don't get any pushback whatsoever on sensitive information because I'm not challenging the client in this scenario. I do the exact same thing with banking. When I'm asking something confrontational, like what's your social, I'm looking down at the form because it's not me who's asking, it's the form. So I go, what's your cell phone number? I write it down, your email, your social, and they tell me because I'm not being confrontational about it because it's not me, it's the form. And then I go ahead and I take that information, I input it into the first few pages of the America app, I run the HIPAA authorization, find out if they can get pre-qualified or not. Simple as that. At the end of the appointment, this is filled out. I've got the carrier, the product, the benefit, the premium, the effective date, the policy number. That goes with me. We'll explain what I do with that here in a second. But if you're not using the client profile, you should be. And there's so many different reasons why. I'm setting myself up and I'm setting my administrative assistant up in the home. So in the beginning, you don't have an admin. You are the admin. I would recommend that everybody here gets an admin if you've issued over $10,000 in a month. Whether it be somebody who is local or whether it be through Start Virtual, which is a company that has FFL specific virtual assistants. Our virtual assistant, Remy, she's absolutely amazing. And she does all of my client follow-up. So when I sit down in the home and I'll walk you guys through exactly how I do this in a second, but I say, I don't let anybody know they're approved in the home ever. Even though it says approved, we're going to go ahead and submit a request for coverage, see if you can get qualified. And if you are qualified, my office assistant will call you in the next 48 hours to let you know if you've been approved. And then I take the client profile, I take a picture of it, I send it to my admin. She transfers it into my digital client list, which has their name, their address, their date of birth, their phone number, their email, the carrier, the benefit, premiums, policies, if we've sent follow-up, if we've sent thank you cards, all that stuff. And she keeps that all organized for me. And I also have her call the carriers for me in the event that the client did not get approved. Okay. Or to find out if it went to underwriting, when it's going to be approved, and follow up with the client then at that date. One of the most important things is that you have your administrative assistant call when you say they're going to call. So if I sell a policy on Monday, if I sell a policy on Tuesday, Wednesday, my admin is calling on Thursday morning. If I sell a policy on Friday, Saturday, my admin is calling on Monday morning. We'll get to this at the end, but one of the most important things is to do what you say you're going to do. I can't tell you how many clients I've lost when I didn't have an admin, because I told them I would call them in a couple of days to let them know if they were approved. And then I forgot because I was dialing, I was running business, and they canceled simply because of the fact that I didn't call. Not because they didn't want the policy, not because they couldn't afford it, but because I didn't do what I said I was going to do. Okay. So an admin takes that completely off your plate. So I started off in my admin just stuffed folders for me and called clients to let them know if they were approved. And it's evolved from that point. So that's my sales pitch on getting an admin. If you're over 10,000 and you don't know where to start, or you want to start early before 10,000, just give me a call, give me a text, and I'm more than happy to help you get started. So let's skip forward a little bit. So we've closed the deal. At this point, we have already finished signing the application. Now, what stays with the client and what comes back home with me? This is how you tie a bow on the appointment. So I've got two different folders. I've got my colored folders and I've got my manila folders. My colored folders is what I already showed you. That's the one I come in with. It's got the business card, the I'm Your Life Insurance policy. It's got the client profile, financial inventory, credibility sheet. When I sit down at the appointment, I pull out every, client profile, financial inventory, credibility sheet, basically the right side of my folder. I pull it out, put it down on the table. That's what I'm going to be working on during the appointment. Put the folder off to the side. My manila folder comes out at the end. That's what I take home with me. So right at the end, okay, Bob, Mary, I'm just going to create a quick file for my office. And when you're creating a file for your office, you're no longer just the insurance sales guy who came over to sell them a policy. You are the insurance professional who has an office that's creating a file for them. Everything that we do is important. Everything that we do increases credibility and it builds legitimacy behind who you are. Okay. Two examples of the folders. So I'll tell you guys why I use bright folders here in a second instead of the Americo folders, but I take out a Sharpie and I write Bob and Mary Life Insurance on the front of the folder that they get to keep. I take the folder, the manila folder, and I write Bob and Mary and their last names, and that's what I'm going to keep. This will give you guys just an idea of what's in those folders. Okay. So in the manila folder, I take away the lead card, the financial inventory, the credibility sheet, and the voided check. Some of you guys don't collect voided checks. I do collect voided checks. It just, once again, it builds more credibility. And then in the green folder, or it could be any colored folder, I've got my business card. I've got the I'm Your Life Insurance policy. I write down why they got the policy, which I'll explain here why I do that in a second. I've got the congratulations, your application has been accepted. And I'll show you guys what I do with that. And then behind that are all of the quotes on a blank sheet of paper. Okay. All the options that I'm required to leave behind with them. So on the right side of that folder, we have your application has been accepted. If you guys aren't using this, this is huge. You can edit this. This is a file that's available on the FFL America website under the downloads tab. So this goes on the far right side of my folder, and congratulations, your application has been accepted. I tell the client, I say, okay, congrats, your application's been accepted. That doesn't mean your policy's been approved. That just means that you got through the pre-approval process. It didn't kick anything back, but the underwriters are going to have to tell us in the next 24 to 48 hours if it's actually gone ahead and been approved. Now, at this point, I go ahead and I write down all their policy info at the top. So the first and last name. So Zach Babiar's insurance company, Americo, product name, Eagle Premier Whole Life, CBO 100, 30-year, face amount 30,000, face amount 250,000, monthly premium $83 a month, $250 a month, policy number AM00, et cetera, effective date, which is the date that the policy will be issued. So if you did not do any future draft dates, it would be today's date. If they said, I don't want the policy to be taken out until the first of the month, then it would be that date. So it's whatever the effective date of the policy is. And then I go ahead and I edited this form and I wrote down my admin's name and her phone number. And I said, hey, you'll receive a call from our office manager, Remy, in the next 24 to 48 hours to let you know the outcome, that your policy has been approved or denied. If your policy has been approved, the insurance company you applied for will send you your policy in the mail within 1 to 2 weeks. When received, you might need to follow specific instructions to sign a policy, deliver receipt, mail back to the insurance carrier, et cetera, et cetera. If you have any of the following questions, call me. You want to increase coverage, add additional benefits, looking for coverage on spouse, kids, grandkids, safe money retirement to protect assets from losses, then here's my name and my phone number. James Chirio, field underwriter, state license, email. I generally will circle whatever carrier that we ended up going with. So I circle Americo, I circle Mutual of Omaha, and that goes in the front of the folder. On the far left side of the folder, I've got the I Am Your Life Insurance policy. Okay. And I just started doing this recently. So if you guys haven't started using this, and I'll explain to you guys exactly how I walk people through this here in a second. But the I Am Your Life Insurance policy, you and I have similar purposes in this world. It's your job to provide food, clothing, shelter, schooling, medicine, and sundry other things for your loved ones. You do this while I lie in your strong box. I have faith in and trust in you. Out of your earnings will come a cost of my upkeep. At times, I may appear to be worthless to you, but someday, and who knows when, you and I will change places. When you're laid to rest, I will come alive and do your job. I will provide the food, clothing, shelter, schooling, medicine, and other things your family will continue to need, just as you're doing now. When your work and toil are done, mine will begin. Through me, your hands will carry on. When you feel the price you are paying for my upkeep is burdensome, remember that I will do more for you and your family than you will ever do for me. If you do your part, I'll do mine. That's powerful. It's super, super powerful. And what I do is I write at the top. So when we sit down in the beginning and we found out why we're there, I write that down at the top of this sheet. So it's the first thing they see when they open that folder. I start off. Bob wanted to make sure that if he passed away, that Mary wouldn't have any burdens and that she would be able to keep paying the bills and not lose everything. You know, Zach wanted to make sure that if he passed away, his wife and kids wouldn't lose the house and have to go live with grandma. Mike wanted to make sure that if he passed away, his son Mason wouldn't have to pay for his burial and cremation. You know, I write down exactly what it is. So it's the first thing that they see when they actually go ahead and open the policy. And I think that's super powerful and important to do. I leave behind a brochure of the company. He wrote Americo. These are free brochures. I spent my first 7 months in the company, never used a brochure, but they're free. You should call and you should get them. The Strength and Stability brochure about Americo just gives them it gives them comfort that they went with a great company, and every company has these, and also leave behind the specific product brochure as well. And then I go ahead and I take with me, once again, the client profile, the voided check, the financial inventory, and the lead card. Okay. Super, super simple. So we'll come back to this real quick. So right when I'm about to leave, I open up the folder and I say, okay, Bob and Mary. So here's what we've got. This is my personal business card right here, the number that I originally called you on. That was my office line. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to send you a text message right now with my first and last name and my state license. So you guys can have that for your records. And I put them in I send them my first and last name. I put them in Sabrina, last name Americo, Heather, last name Amam, because when they call me, then I know that it's a client. And I know that it's not a recruit. I know that it's not somebody else calling me back from my dial day. I always make sure I put my clients in my phone and I text them so they have my personal cell phone number. So this is my personal business card, my first and last name on it, my phone number. I'm going to send you guys a text message right here. This is just some sappy thing about your life insurance policy. And I say this is super sappy. We don't have to read it out loud right now, because if we read it out loud, everybody might start tearing up. So I'll let you guys read that on your own time. And they always laugh. I'm like, but what I did do is I wrote down here at the top why we actually took care of this. We wanted to make sure that if Bob passed away, Mary wouldn't lose everything, whatever it is. Okay. So I make sure I put that there. Then I walk them through. Okay. So here we've got, excuse me, Bob and Mary, the Americo Eagle Premier whole life, the $30,000 death benefit. It's $250 a month. The policy number, the effective date. My office manager, Remy, is going to call you in the next 24 to 48 hours to let you know if it's actually been approved. Here's the phone number she's going to call you from. If it is approved, a policy is going to come to you in the next 1 to 2 weeks. And I say, okay. And I'm sure you guys noticed that this is like a bright green folder. Do you want to know the reason why we do that? It's because most people, when they pass away, their loved ones can never find the policy. So we want to make sure that it's something that you can say, hey, Mary, look for the green folder. Mary, look for the red folder. Okay. And when your physical policy comes in the mail, I want you to shove it in this folder, and I want you to keep it where you keep your important documents. Can you do that for me? And also, if something, God forbid, does happen to you, Bob, or when something happens to you, Mary, I want you to make sure that you don't call Americo. You're welcome to, but number one, you're going to be mourning, and number two, you're going to be waiting on hold. I want you to call me, call my office, let us know what happened, and my office will take care of everything. We'll submit the death claim. We'll take care of everything for you, because I'm your agent for life. Does that sound good? Does that sound fair? And they're always like, yes, that sounds really good. Thank you so much. It's all about tying a bow on it. It's all about making it so your clients are never going to leave you. And the last thing that I do, and this is super cheesy, I even say to them, I say, okay, guys, this is super cheesy, but my office requires me to ask you, are you guys satisfied with the job I've done for you today? And they always start laughing and they say, yes, of course, we're so satisfied. And the reason why I do that, Grady Polson taught me that when you leave, you want to leave a good taste in their mouth. The last thing that they remember about you being a good thing. So literally the last thing that I do before I get up from the table is I slide the folder across the table after I've explained to them everything that's in their folder. I've taken my folder that has all of their information. I've written their name on it. I slid it into my bag so I can send it to my admin later. I, at that point, am sliding across the table. So Zach, do you have any questions for us? Any final questions? Nope. Okay, perfect. Well, hey, my office, they require me to do this. It's super cheesy, so I apologize in advance. But are you guys satisfied with the job that I've done for you today? They always laugh and they always say yes. And then I shake hands and I say, you guys huggers? I give them a hug. I shake their hands. I say, I'm really glad we were able to give you guys some peace of mind. Let me know if you need anything. You guys have my direct cell phone number. Call me, text me. Otherwise, look out for a phone call from Remy on Monday or Thursday to let you know if you guys have been approved. Simple as that. And once again, make sure that either you or your admin call the clients when you say you're going to call them. Do what you say you're going to do. When you do what you say you're going to do, your clients will respect you. Okay. Last couple of things here. Thank you cards. Okay. So I use a company called Send Out Cards. It's like Canva. If you guys know what Canva is, how we make all these recognition images, how I made this presentation. Send Out Cards is an awesome service that you can create pre-done thank you cards. And all you have to do is just upload the contact and they send them a card. And you can make the cards however you want. I also have it set up where, because I have all of their information, including their birthday, and my admin puts that into my spreadsheet, all of my clients automatically get birthday cards without me having to think about it. They just automatically get a birthday card when it's their birthday. They get a thank you card. And I don't really like the name thank you card because thank you card implies thank you for your business. Thank you for the commission. So that's why I do a I've got you covered card. Don't worry, I've got you covered. It's cheesy. Cheesy stuff works. It really does. So front side, don't worry, I've got you covered. Inside, we appreciate your vow of confidence in our office to protect your loved ones. I'm your insurance agent for life and plan to be the one who will personally be there for your family if tragedy strikes. We're looking forward to helping you with any additional insurance needs. If you have any questions, please contact me. If you'd like to increase coverage, add additional policies, look for coverage on the spouse, kids, grandkids, safe money retirement to protect assets from losses. My name, I used a font that looks like I signed it. My phone number, my email, and on the back side, reach out anytime, picture of me and my wife and my son. Okay. It just shows that I'm a real person. Okay. They get birthday cards, they get thank you cards. So this is what I do. And the last thing that I'll go over here is that if your client calls you to cancel, don't try to save it over the phone. Get back to the house. It is very, very unlikely that you will ever save a policy over the phone. So if I ever have a client, if Zach calls me to cancel, hey, Jamie, I've just been thinking about it and we just can't afford it. We want to cancel. Perfect, Zach. Not a big deal whatsoever. All that they're going to do is they're going to dispatch me back out to the house to have you guys sign a decline of coverage form and we'll go from there. Sound good? I'll be out there Wednesday at 3:00. Reset the appointment. I go sit down with Zach. The first thing I do is I slide the decline of coverage form in front of them and I have them sign it. I actually have them sign it. There is a decline of coverage form on the FFL America downloads tab. I have them sign it. And then at that point, once they've signed it, I go, Zach, so what happened? And I just let Zach explain to me what happened. And then at that point, I go back to, I ask them if they still have their folder. They bring it out. I open it up. I look at the front left page. I'm like, Zach, it says here that you wanted to make sure that if you passed away, your kids didn't lose the house and your wife. Did something change? No, nothing changed. That's still important to me. It's just, I can't afford it. Got it. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. Let's go ahead and decrease the coverage because obviously this is important to you. I think we got a little ahead of ourselves and we picked something that was just a little bit out of budget. So let's go ahead and submit for something less. That's what I always do. And sometimes the people say, no, I just want to cancel. And sometimes the people say, okay, that's a good idea. Let's submit for something less. And at that point, I tear up the decline of coverage form and we submit for something less. I cancel their other policy. I write them a new policy. So simple as that, guys. So if implementing some of these things only helped you keep an extra 10% of your clients on the books, it helped you go from a 70% retention to an 80% retention, it'd be worth it. If you wrote $100,000 in a year that means you'd keep an extra $10,000 just by implementing some of these things. So just in summation, getting an admin, if you're doing over 10,000, reach out to me. If you're doing a little bit under, you can reach out to me and we can see if you're ready for it. It's 100% worth it. Increasing your credibility, reducing sales pressure. The little things are the big things. The clients are the big things, okay? But us doing the little things helps them to know that we care, okay? It absolutely helps to know that we care. So this is how you increase your persistency. This is how you keep more policies on the books. This is how you cement your sales, or at least how I cement my sales. So I hope you guys got some good things out of this.